evening. Welcome to Living Arts. I'm your host, Jackie Suarez. Thank you for tuning in. Tonight we have just a wonderful guest. His name is Mr. Bobby Harden. He is the soul man of New York. He is one of the original members of the blues band, and we are delighted to have you here tonight. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, Jackie.
So I have so many questions for you, but first I want to how did you get the name the soul man of New York?
Well, I gave it to myself. Nobody else would give it to me, so I gave it to myself.
That's one way to do it.
Well, actually, when I started doing a lot of private parties, when I first moved to New York, I started doing a lot of weddings. Mm-hmm. And somehow I created this scene where I do like a soul circle. Mm-hmm. And I get people into the soul circle, and I get them to dance, and and I would sing Soul Man. So that's how it came to be, and it just became like one of my signature numbers right to this day. So if you come to my concert, I do a soul. I have my own version of Soul Man, and I do something like this signature thing that I established years ago. So that's when they started calling me the Soul Man.
Because you're originally from Ohio.
Ohio, that's right, Youngstown.
Yeah. So when did you move to New York?
I moved to Houston first. In 79, I moved to Houston, Texas. And then in 89, I moved to New York City in 1980. And I've been here ever since in New York.
So how did you get your start in music?
Gospel. It was gospel. I didn't actually know I could sing until I started singing in the church choir, because all my sisters said, "Oh, shut up! You can't sing. Shut up!" So I would never sing, And I wasn't singing thinking that I could sing. I would just like to sing. But it was one day I joined the church choir because my friends were in the choir, not because I could sing. I just went because they were in the choir. Mm-hmm. And it was the very first choir rehearsal. And Miss Sue Hill was the musical director, and she was teaching us the parts to "The Harvest is Plentiful." Mm-hmm. And she went over the altos and the sopranos, and then she said, "Okay, all the guys stand up." It was about maybe eight guys in the tenor section, and she started teaching us this part. And after 4 bars, she stopped the piano. She said, "Whose voice is that I hear?" And they said, "That's Bobby." And she said, "Come down here and sit next to me." And I sat next to her, and I was trembling like a leaf. So she finished teaching the guys their part, and she said, "I want you to lead this song." And I was like, "Oh, no, you don't want me to lead this song." So she started teaching me the part. I'm like, "The harvest." She started, "Boy, open up your mouth and sing, Mm-hmm. And I started singing, "The harvest is plentiful and the laborers are few." And everybody, yeah. And that's how I got my start in church. And then I became like the little James Cleveland at Mount Zion Baptist Church, because everybody was hooping and hollering every time I would sing this song. And I used to sing this one song. It's called "It's Been Good to Be Here" by James Cleveland. Oh, that would rile the people up. And even if I wasn't doing a lead that Sunday, they would a little piece of paper said, "We want to request that Bobby sing, It's Been Good to Be Here." And I used to sing that with Queenie Hill. It was one of, so it was church gospel. I wasn't into secular music. I didn't,
Or popular music.
Yeah. At that time, it was more all about gospel. Of course, there was the Motown days. We all knew James Brown and the Motown and the Kool and the Gang and the hip stuff. All of that stuff. But I wasn't into music as deep as I am now, because I'm like Johnny Adams or the Meters. A lot of people who I know now. I did not know then. As I continue to get deep into music, I came across a lot of music, even jazz artists. We just didn't have that so much in our home, like that.
Right. Well, not what you were listening to when you were growing up.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't no Ella Fitzgerald. Billie Holiday. I mean, I knew of Billie Holiday, I think, but we didn't listen to First time I heard about Billie Holiday, I think, was Lady Sing the Blues.
The movie?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
We just didn't grow up like that. My parents. My father had a beautiful voice, but it never went anywhere, And we just played outside. We did other things,
So you never had any formal training as a singer?
No, not until when I moved to Houston, and it wasn't until like 5 years into, after I lived in Houston, maybe less than that, could have been 3 or 4. I decided, I said, and I was actually, I tell you what happened, I was actually looking for churches to sing with in Houston. I never clicked with any of them. I joined to some choirs, and I'm like, and then I just stopped going. And then one day I was singing in my shower, and I had a roommate, her name was Ella, and her cousin had spent the night with us. And I was singing in the shower, and I came out of the shower, and there she was standing out there, and she said, "Oh my God, I didn't know you could sing like that." And she said, you gotta start singing. And I said, well, I would like to, but blah 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 blah. But it wasn't until a couple of years after that I said, I want to do my singing, and it just kind of came together. I started when I made in my mind I wanted to sing. I just found some situation. I can't remember how they came about, but I started hooking up with different people and singing. I wasn't singing with bands. I was at that time in Houston, and I wasn't really singing so much in Houston. I would travel to LaPorte and Clear Lake and sing with guys who would had like this. One would play a piano, but they had all this backtrack, this sound music, like music minus one.
Like a synthesizer?
No, they had like, how you could get tapes, cassette tapes or DVDs now and sing to the track.
Like karaoke.
But it wasn't popular like back then.
Okay.
They were reprogramming their own music. And so I would go sit in with these different people and they just they liked me, and it became a thing, and I would sing. And it wasn't until this one guy named Jim Moody, he said, Bobby, he said, I can't do this gig, can you sub for me? I said, yeah. I said, but I don't know how to play anything. And he said, well, can you get it together? Like, you got 2 weeks? I swear, within 2 weeks, or it could have been maybe 2.5 weeks, I found these tracks. I ordered these cassette tapes because I found songs that I, could work on, and songs that I Motown stuff, and I put together a show. And I was able to do like a one-man show, just the tracks.
Wow, so you were all by yourself?
By myself, and I was doing like a 4-hour show. But I learned a lot of different music that way, And that's how it started, And I would meet different people, and I started singing in these clubs. But most of them was like in redneck territory, It was like, in LaPorte, Texas, and Pasadena, Texas. But they loved me out there, and it was really cool, and everybody was really nice to me.
So it was like cabaret style. With the music you were doing.
Yeah, it was like a bars, little pubs, like bars, and I was just doing a one-man show, and people were dancing, and it was a little cool scene, and it was a whole community of us, and people say, I can't do this again, can you do, I said, sure, and I'd take my
So you were like, yeah, I can see that.
I was working it, and I had never worked with a band before.
Oh, so this was just you with music that you were singing over.
I had never worked with a band before, except one time when I was in, I can't remember this guy's name. He was really a great singer, and he had a great band. He was super nice. I got a chance to sit in with his band one time. And Nash, Johnny Nash, I can see clearly now the rain is, that guy, he was there. And it was the first time I performed with this band. It was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. And
it kind of just really clicked.
Oh, it was great. It was my last time performing with the band. Not because I was bad. It was just that they went on and did the thing. It was just right. And when I moved to New York, is when I started working with bands, and that's when everything became. I became like, okay, this
kind of blew up for you.
This is what I'm talking about. It was just like, wow, because with the track, it starts at point A. And it stops at point Z. With the band,
you do songwriting as well, right? So that's how you kind of grew into that as well.
Yeah.
Were you writing in Houston at all?
Yes, I did write. I wrote my first song, "Tell Me You Want My Lovin'." That's on a 12-inch I did 2 years before. I think it was in 87 or 88. I did a 12-inch. And I wrote "Tell Me You Want My Love," and then it's the other song called "I Found Love When I Found You." But this guy named Charles, what's his name? He wrote that song, and I have the publishing on it though.
That's the most important part of it.
Yes, I have the publishing on it, and I did that. So that was the name of the record. "I Found Love When I Found You."
So who was it that discovered you, and you started working with the Blues Brothers?
Well, by that time I'd been on the scene, and my name was circulating. Different bands. I've been, been doing my little thing, and people knew of me. And I met this guy named Eric Udell. We started working in a couple of bands together, and he said, "Bobby, the Blues Brothers they're having a audition. You should really go audition." So he hooked it up for me to go to the audition, and I went on audition. I got it.
So this was with, I guess, Dan Aykroyd.
Well, no, Dan. See, the original band group I work with is called the Original Blues Brothers Band.
Okay.
And that's the musicians in the movie, not Aykroyd. And of course, Belushi is dead. So, but it's Steve Cropper, who is like a Stax legend. He helped established. Otis Redding co-wrote "Sitting on the Dock of the Bay," "Midnight Hour," "Knock on," all those great songs. And that's that guitar lick that you hear on Soul Man. That's Steve Cropper. So he was Stax from the very beginning. You know, they helped create all this great sound. So that's Steve Cropper, and Lou Marini is the dancing dishwasher in the movie. You know,
Okay.
he plays the saxophone, and he's with the band. So we used to go out, and there was Alan Rubin. The trumpet player was fantastic. Just all, you know, he passed away a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, so he's no longer with us. But now that David Letterman's show is off there, maybe Bones might come back and do some things with Tom Malone. He plays the trombone. Or he'll be playing in Barry if he comes back, because we have a great guy named Larry Farrell who plays the trombone.
So who all is in the band now?
Steve Cropper, Lou Marini, 2 originals. John Tropez, great guitar player. Eric Udell, wonderful bass player. Lee Finkelstein, fantastic drummer. Leon Pendarvis, he's the music director for Saturday Night Live. So he goes on the road when he's not working. Most of the time he goes out in the summer with us. When he's not on tour with us, we use a guy named Rusty Cloud, you know, who's a great Hammond organ player also. And then Larry Farrell plays the trombone, and Steve Howard is out of Dallas. He usually flies out of Dallas and wherever we meet him at the airport. And that's the whole group. And we have 2 fantastic. We have a great sound guy, cowboy Keith Thomas. He travels with us. And
So you perform mostly during the summer, the live performances?
yeah, mostly they tour in the summer. You know, like we just got off a 2-week, 17-day tour. We went to Italy, Albania, Lithuania, Spain.
Now, how do these guys know anything about blues, or even, you know, much less?
Well, the movie. See, have you ever seen the? You haven't seen the movie, right?
Yes, I have. I have seen clips of the movie, not the entire thing. I have to tell you.
Well, it's a cult, and they have the.
It's a cult.
Oh God, they have fans. When we do these festivals, we have people showing up. We wear the black suits, the white shirt, the hat, and the glasses, and then you have all these people dressed up in these black suits. So we try to get them on stage. The last number.
Yeah, you can see them.
And you know and the most beautiful thing about the whole show is that you have kids, adults, old people. I mean, all ages out there just enjoying the show. It's fantastic. You know, it's just great.
Because the music lives on.
Yes, yes.
So of all the music that you have done, is this something that really spoke to you? That style, heavy horn sections, or the blues
well, you
in
know,
general?
like I said, James Brown. The Meters, I love New Orleans. I just love that style of music. But James Brown, funk, you know, and blues and soul music, you know. I just love you know, really because it's gospel.
Okay, so that's really your first love.
Yeah, it all has that gospel influence, you know, and that's where, you know, that's me. That's why whatever I sing is going to have a little gospel vibe in it. I don't care what it is, and that's why I love it.
Until I heard you say the words, goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Thought I did you right, even though I wasn't home every night. No, no, no. But now I see you mean the world to me. And if you give me back your love, I promise you, I'll treat you right. Give me back your love, I'll treat you right.
I never sing the song the same way. I never will, you know, because this comes from the soul. It's all connected to the audience and you know, what musicians you have on stage. So it's just, you know, it's like, for me when I perform, it's always like a fresh pot of stew. You know, I never know, you know, what it's gonna taste like, but I know it's gonna be good.
It's kind of organic. It's kind of
good.
play off the audience.
Yeah, it's great, you know. And then with soul music, you can stop it, you know, stop, you know. With me, like, wait a minute, it's feeling too good. Give a solo here, you know. You get the sax player, you know, and you push them to you know, go for it, you know, and you inspire them, or you give somebody else a solo, and that's why it's all good. Soul music is, you know, I don't think you can do that so much in pop or, you know, but blues you can do it, and I love blues too, you know, so.
So, you know, I guess this past summer you were inducted into the New York
New York Hall of Fame, right? Michael Packer, that's right. That was really an honor. I mean, you know, it's. I got this one under my belt. So it was
Absolutely.
really nice, and it was a wonderful performance of B.B. King. And Michael Packer's doing a great thing by giving people like myself and a mention, and recognizing us, that we have been out there. Because trust me, this world is full of great talent.
It is.
Great talent. I mean, when I travel across the water, I was like, oh my God. But I think, as I would tell my manager, Richard Rollinson, I said, what you have to be in this business, you have to be consistent. You have to keep taking one step. You take that one step, you take another step. Sometimes you might have to rest, but you got to keep stepping. And you have good energy and you keep stepping, it will create something. Because, I mean, if I wasn't stepping, my manager would never have discovered me,
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? So, and now we work together and we keep doing things, and one performance lead to new contacts sometimes, and but people see
And
your
new
name.
audiences.
New audiences. When people see your name, out there, like, huh? It's just like this festival we just did, the Hats Music Festival in West Orange. They saw what we were doing, and somehow someone said, "You got to book Bobby Harden. You got to book Bobby Harden." And he reached out and said, I knew the guy, but he had sort of forgotten about me. But by me being out there, people said, "Oh, you got to book this guy, Bobby Harden." And he said, "I know Bobby Harden." So he finally called me and asked me to do the Hats Music Festival. And that's how I believe it. You just got to keep stepping.
Well, yeah, it continues. And
Right.
you also, your sound changes.
Yes, sir.
Besides working with the original Blues Brothers, you also were with some bands in the interim or, through the years. Why don't you tell me about some people that you've worked with?
Well, I used to work, when I first started out, I worked with the Uptown Horns, Chris Macio and his band, and that's like a little famous horn section that played on a lot of, Hot, 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 they did a lot of great things, and I used to work with the Uptown Horns, that band. I never really got to work with name people, in that sense. I mean, the Blues Brothers is my biggest credit to today, and it's been very, very helpful. Very, very helpful to my career.
I can imagine. I mean, you've been all over the world with this group.
Yeah,
and
because it got me, it helped me to get to Siberia.
And how many years has
Russia.
it been that you've been working with them?
About 7 years now. Yeah, 7 years, yeah. And it helps. That credit helps. One time somebody said, Bobby, can you come over and do this benefit with us? We're trying to raise money. I said, sure. He picked up his phone. So I got Bobby Harden from the original Blues Brothers band. I'm like, yeah, it's just me, I'm just your friend who, and then the light bulb went off. I said,